Howdy guys, it's Joe here today talking about Reaper's brand new buff, and let's just get straight into this because I feel like it's the buff that Reaper needed, that I don't feel like any of us actually really thought about, and it perfectly fits his kit, at least in my own opinion. It also kind of makes him an off tank now, at least in my own opinion. Makes him even as tanky as some characters like Orisa in a lot of situations, and even kind of as tanky somebody like Winston, which you'll kind of get into in a second. Not quite as much, but kind of plays a similar-ish role. But anyways, what they did with Reaper is that they made so that his passive no longer gives you health from healing orbs. When you kill somebody, that doesn't happen anymore. No more healing orbs will spawn on the ground, which honestly wasn't that great of a passive. You had to be pretty much winning the team fight anyway for it to work. It wasn't all that amazing. But now what Reaper does is essentially 20% lifesteal on all the damage heal does. So if you shoot somebody and deal 100 damage, well, you're going to be healing 20 health to yourself. And that's it. But that is so good for this character, for so many reasons really. Of course, one good reason is, simply put, it makes so that he can tank for quite a bit longer. Of course, you still want somebody like a Reinhardt or somebody like a Zarya that can shield him, that can let him get in and out, but he can go in, deal a lot of damage, and come out, reload, and go back in with full health, or at least very high health. You can heal yourself up really quickly, and overall I feel like he's going to be a lot better of a bruiser. As well with this, he can finally actually counter tanks. I feel like a lot of people have thought for a while, Reaper does pretty well against tanks, which I will agree he does. But the problem about Reaper is that often a lot of tanks, I'd say the majority of tanks, could really just take quite a few shots from Reaper, deal just a decent amount of damage, and then Reaper had to back off because he had no way to self-heal. He couldn't really kill the tanks all the time by himself, and he just kind of was in trouble, and you often lost a lot of fights as Reaper on offense or on defense. But with this new way of playing, Reaper can fight someone like a Zarya and actually trade damage. But as Reaper, you're actually going to finally have close to full health, or at least a decent amount of health. Of course, if you're fighting someone like Roadhog, get 2 or 3 headshots, you're going to be healing like 100 health. Yeah, that's going to be really, really good for this character. I feel like it'll just let so that in long engagements, you can get back to full health easier, and in quick engagement that are very, very close up, well, you can last a lot longer there as well. Overall, as far as getting headshots, body shots, anything like that, just adding survivability for Reaper is something that I've wanted for a long time, and something that I feel like he does need, and here we go. He finally has that, and he can finally do decent against all these tanks, and I feel like he can kind of now be played as a semi-off tank. Of course, tanks aren't the best right now, but, if you're playing with someone like a Roadhog, or not really Roadhog, if you're playing with someone like a Zarya or someone like a Reinhardt or Orisa, you can kind of play them as the main tank, the anchor tank, and then this guy can run around with a few shields and deal quite a bit of damage. He'll be able to last quite a while, but if he gets caught out, he's still gonna die because he only has 250 HP, which isn't the most. Still, I feel like with Reaper, he has very similar-ish survivability to some of the tanks. Mainly like Orisa, if her shift is down, he can survive pretty much just as long, if not longer, and he can escape a lot easier. Stuff like that. I feel like it's going to be overall pretty good as far as an off tank or a bruiser, moreover, would go. So you could have 1 tank, 1 bruiser, 2 DPS, and whatever the heck else you want, or maybe any kind of situation like that. But yeah, I feel like he will be able to do that, and he will be able to deal a lot of damage to all these tanks and really be able to be a nice tank counter while being a semi-ish tank himself. Now, of course, with this said, I don't think he's going to be completely broken like some people may be thinking. I feel like he's going to be pretty good, at least in my own opinion, but people like Widowmaker will still do decent against him. Of course, Pharah will still counter him, and a lot of the people that get into the backline, well, I don't feel like they're really going to counter him anymore because now he has more sustain than a few of them. He's still not going to be able to counter them, and they're not really going to be able to counter him, so I guess that's like a 50-50 either way. Overall, though, I feel like this will allow him to stick in teamfights a lot longer, be a lot better at close range, at melee range, and really make so that he could always do the job that he was supposed to do. In the past, we've never really even seen him doing the job he's supposed to do, which is a lot of frontline, nice consistent DPS that is melee range with all the other tanks and trying to kill those guys. In the past, we saw him Beyblade trying to get to the backline, but that's about it. But now I feel like he can actually do his job. And as far as kind of Beyblade and mainly just his ultimate now, it seems like now you also regain damage from the damage you do to heroes from your ultimate. That is a change that we can be happy about if you are a person that likes to play Reaper. Of course, you can still be countered by ultimates like D.Va that will one-shot you, even a simple flashbang or maybe a Reinhardt ult, but still, you're going to be able to survive much longer when you're ulting and be much more of a threat that's a lot harder to kill now, because if you jump into the middle of a team fight and you're dealing like 300 damage all over you at all times, you're going to be staying at near full health. And especially if you're nano boosted or damage boosted, think about how hard it's going to be to kill this guy. But again, he still does have his very good counters, mainly just crowd control. I don't believe his ult in any way is really going to be broken. He's probably going to be a decent character still. But especially if you have somebody like Zarya bubbling you, that could be nice. That could be very hard to counter and very hard to kill that Reaper that's inside that bubble. Because you have to kill the bubble and then you have to kill the Reaper that's regenerating health. Just kind of think about all that. Now before we end, I do want to say, I'm not sure if this is going to make Reaper overpowered, and I don't believe that it will. We have people like Pharah right now that are just dominating. He can't do really anything against them at all. We have dive comps with Winston, which you can do a lot against Winston, but again, against Genji and Tracer, you can't do way too much. And, you know, we have people like Widowmaker that can still counter you. You have people like Hanzo that can kind of jank, do stuff like that against you, and I don't know. I don't feel like he's going to be overpowered, but I could see him actually being played now. And if he comes onto live and he actually comes out being pretty good, I think I'm going to play him quite a bit. Probably play him as my DPS with Zarya as my tank. But at least that is my own personal opinion about Reaper. Overall, a lot better. A lot better from where he was, and a lot better at doing his job, or at least the job that I personally see him doing. But if this is a change that you guys were not thinking of, or if it's a change you guys did not want, tell me in the comment section down below. On the other side of the coin, if you did want a Reaper change, like me, and you wanted something that would make him a bit better, something that would maybe change him up a little bit, and maybe make him a bit better at his job, tell me down below as well. If you're even playing Reaper, I'd also like to know that. Anyways, as always, guys, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, guys, have a wonderful day.